You're watching Experience Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
What's up, the internet? It's producer Kyle. How's it going? So I got super self-conscious of the way I looked during the Dan Wickline show, so I put on a suit coat and realized that if you put on a suit coat, you instantly become Crockett and or Tubbs from Miami Vice, because you instantly start doing this number and pushing your suit coat sleeves up like it's the 1980s. I don't know that this is an avoidable reaction to wearing a suit coat. Also, I don't like doing it, but here we are. This is In Stores This Week, where we talk about comics that are in stores this week. And Dan and Jay will be back, and I will be here to provide color commentary on books that were in stores this week in just a second.
You're a Crockett. You got that Crockett energy.
That's fair. I think Dan is still broken.
Phenomenon. Do. Phenomenon.
The word is phenomena.
Phenomena.
Right. Yes. Fancy Blazer. AKA, I brought it to the office because I'm shooting something in it tomorrow.
Yourself?
Wow, Dan, that's a dark joke. No, I'm shooting a video in it tomorrow, and I needed to see how it looked in the lights, so I know what color shirt to wear under it. Because it's actually much lighter in real life than it appears through the camera. So I need to wear a much lighter shirt. I was hoping I could wear a black shirt underneath it, but I'm going to have to wear a much lighter shirt to make it appear as though it's an actual coat.
Lavender or blue would work well. A medium to light blue.
I actually have a pink. It's not really a pink, because it's like a rose color, and this is supposedly berry. I don't know. I put it on to figure out the lighting, and then, I got a phone call, so I left it on, and then I was on Jen's show in it. And then I thought of the Crockett and Tubbs joke, so I thought I would just stay in it.
So you get close to that heat stroke, or?
I have this much water left to pour over my head if it gets too warm.
Okay. Safety first.
Yes. Welcome into In Stores This Week, everybody. What's up, Cool Gamer? What's up, Ed? Ship is here. Jeff Wedding. It isn't Fancy Blazer Day. It's Kyle's doing way too many things at one time day, so he has a fancy blazer with him.
Like every day. For
camera tests. And yeah. This is In Stores This Week. We're talking about books that are in stores this week. I read like all of 5 pages of the books from this week. Just because we're getting ready for a big thing, and it's taking literally all of my time, like 20 hours a day.
We do have the new format, though, where Jay's going to read all the books, and Kyle and I are just going to pick on him like Waldorf and Statler or whatever it is from the Muppets.
It's true.
Look, if I had to do the show by myself, it'd be a 10-minute show maybe. And 5 minutes of that would me be like, I liked it, didn't like it, liked it, really liked this one. Okay, let's just argue about something now.
You know the great thing about this book? The end.
You can definitely say the writer wrote something.
Telling you.
Oh, that's so much better. Okay, let's you want to get started, or you guys want to goof around some more? Because I also you guys are both wearing superhero hats on the week I forgot a hat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a whole lot of stuff to go over this week.
Tell us who hurt you, Kyle.
ship. All right. So, do you guys just want to get started, or should we do the thing
The thing?
of talking about comics?
Oh. You're wearing your Professor X.
Richard Ship is going to get 5 minutes in timeout.
Wait, I need to do the Charles Dutton version.
Wow. Oh. Come on, Kyle. Come on. Okay, I'll talk about first book first. Let's do this.
All right.
Okay. I actually really dug this one. I know, big surprise, right? Jay dug a book. I was a fan of the art, and the story was intriguing. I do want to go back and read the first one now. The main character, Bix, I thought he was a pretty interesting character. He seemed normal enough until you get to the very end. And then I was like, what is this guy's deal? And more, I find myself enjoying a lot of these crime and adventure stories that are set in like the 1920s to 40s. And I think maybe it's because not having technology there is to where you don't, pull the computer out of your pocket and Google something, just makes for a more interesting story. Like I said, I'd love to keep reading this one.
Yeah, I read the first issue of this. And this was the one that I read all 5 pages in today because I really liked the first issue. And I'm with you. This, to me, has some of that same nostalgia feel that, like, The Rocketeer has, some of the Betty Page books have had, where it's set in a time where everything seems more difficult just because we don't have pocket computers like everywhere, and you had to actually know stuff, but the characters in both books don't make it seem that way. So, like, and I'm equating this to The Rocketeer and to Betty Page and in this book as well. So I really like the concept. It really gives me a good kind of nostalgia feel.
I liked the book overall. I thought the story was interesting, and I'm kind of curious where it's going to go, but I spent a lot of time looking at the art, trying to figure out which famous 1930s and 40s actors they were drawing, because I definitely saw William Powell a couple times. And it looked like Errol Flynn at one point. So it does look like they're kind of casting from old movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And the fact that they actually speak like people, because, back in those days, I think the worst thing that ever got said was damn.
Mm-hmm.
They speak like real people would speak.
In the mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah.
I was going to do a joke, but then I decided not to.
Okay.
And we're all better for it.
It's true.
Sorry,
Right.
I went to the Waldorf and Stadler thing. Are we not going there?
Jeez.
So Zach Kaplan, who's writing this book, is on an absolute tear, by the way. When Dan and I first started doing this show, it seemed like every week Cullen Bunn and Steve Orlando had a book out.
Mm-hmm.
And add Zach Kaplan to that list, it seems like every week he's got a book or 2 or 3 out. And they're all real good. Breakout 1 and 2 have been some of my favorites that we've read in recent memory. So to see Breakout 3 finally come out, it feels like it's been forever. I'm excited to take a bigger look at this.
Zach's from out here in LA, and I got to sit next to him at a free comic book day signing a few years ago when he first had his first book out, Eclipse. The man is a marketing machine. I saw him sell just copy after copy after copy in a room full of creators. The Free Comic Book Day had probably 60 different creators, like in little tiny spots in the store. And Zach probably did the best. And I've been watching him ever since because we're friends now. And he is just cranking out so many really good sci-fi books with really interesting concepts. So this is another really cool one. And we basically get a heist movie-ish. It's Prison Break sci-fi style. A brother going in to get his brother out. Yeah. Paging Wentworth Miller.
So unfortunately for me, it's been so long since we've read the first 2 issues that I kind of forgot a little bit of it. I mean, I remember the basic setup and everything. But the team, there you go. They're finally inside the cube, and I think that was what I was talking about. The first and second issues, they left you off right on the last page. So you were excited for the next one. Well, this one is kind of like the payoff for me. Everything in their plan is it's going off without a hitch. I thought for a second though that it was going to be they're just talking about it and they're showing you the plan being enacted, but they're still only talking about it. Kind of one of those scenarios, but they're actually going through with the plan. Then, we meet our first actual alien instead of just seeing the cubes everywhere. Because I don't remember seeing the aliens before. And this alien basically says, your plan's not going to work. Plans never work. We've been doing this for millennia, and we're going to continue doing it. Now, this is only issue 3. I can't remember how many, if this was like a 4 or 5 one. But this one definitely makes me want to go back and reread the first 2. But I'm pretty positive that this is going to be the issue that really gets me into the story. I really enjoyed this one.
So this book's only coming out. So the first ones came out in April and May. Issue 3 is now here in August, and issue 4 isn't due until November. If this book is unsuccessful in the long term, it's going to be because of that publication schedule. That's bad.
Yeah.
And I just want to reiterate how nice of a guy Zach Kaplan is. He's always willing to come on and do shows and talk to us and be a cool dude. So, all right, next up, Grim Fairy Tales number 63.
I'll go ahead because I just want to knock this one out.
Okay.
Only 22 pages. That was a nice surprise. Being another team-up book, not so much. They definitely took a chance on the art with this one. It wasn't for me, though. It's very different from what we've seen before. I hate the fact that I'm so down on Zenescope because I am a fan. I promise I really am. I can't get into these team-up books from what I'm guessing is supposed to be like the main storyline. It's just... We spend most of this book being introduced to characters, and there's some witty banter. And and even though they're chanting Cthulhu in the beginning of this book, which is another thing that I'm kind of over the Cthulhu thing. There's so many other monsters, but I digress on that. That part of the story actually interested me, but as soon as we got to Sky, I just lost interest. But I wasn't a fan.
I'm kind of in the same boat. We came into this. This was supposed to be a new direction, a new start for the series, and I think they've restarted this book 2 or 3 times now. And I don't know. I miss the old format. I miss the actual, kind of horror, O. Henry type endings. And, I don't know why it's suddenly a superhero universe with all the same heroes over just in different costumes. And they introduced this new character, this new teacher, and she doesn't seem any different than anybody else. There just there isn't a whole lot of differentiation of characters in this. And it's like, oh, the Three Musketeers are here. Really? Weren't there 4 of them?
Athos, Porthos, D'Artagnan, and Steve.
Aramis, Athos, Porthos, D'Artagnan.
There you go. I knew one of them was named after a cologne.
So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. It's just not really that interesting right now. This is supposed to be the start of a new setup. I don't know what they're doing.
They need to hire Dan back. All right.
Yes.
So the next book is one that I'm interested in, but only in as much as I wonder if it's going to tie into the book I really hope we get for next week, which is Star Trek 400, which is their big anniversary issue that's coming out. So, but if there's anybody I would be interested in reading a Star Trek book about, it is Jean-Luc Picard. Except that I always wished that there were more Picard and like crossovers between Star Trek captains, the way we've gotten on other sci-fi shows.
Mm-hmm.
He only ever really crossed over with Riker, and that was kind of dumb.
Riker?
Who was the one after him?
Riker was his number 1.
Right, but he becomes a captain in the next series.
Oh. Okay.
At least I think he does in the old IDW Star Trek books.
Oh, okay, in the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was kind of, for some reason I keep seeing popping up on the internet is a picture of a very young Patrick Stewart that looks like it's almost a well, use your term, a cologne ad. It's this black and white picture. He's got these gaunt cheekbones and just very, I'm hot. And I kind of wish we'd go young. When I saw Picard Stargazer, I'm like, oh, maybe we're going to young Patrick Stewart. When he was first in Starfleet, that would have been interesting. But we've jumped so far ahead now, and he's working with 7 of 9, and which was from a different show, right? That's from Janeway.
Yes.
Yeah. That I just thought it was kind of interesting, but I kind of would like to have seen a young version of him, and we get like a moment of it when it does a flashback. But it's like, why didn't we just stay there? We got old Picard on TV.
Didn't they try and do that with one of the movies and it just didn't work?
Don't know.
Yeah, I was hoping somebody in the comments would tell me. Didn't they try and do young Picard like in one of the one with all the lens flare? Star Trek lens flare? Was it
No, that's young Kirk. That's Chris Pine is Kirk.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've seen Star Trek, right?
I saw Next Generation and Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, the lens stuff was the Kelvin crew. Yeah.
I was reading I found some trades of some of the, 2008, 2009 when Star Trek first came to IDW. And I thought I'd give it a try because, well, every time we get a Star Trek book, we want to read them. Mm-hmm. And every time we read them, I go, I don't really like this universe, but I like those 2 shows. So let me try, if I go back far enough in the lore, maybe I'll find a way to hook in. And it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah. I did like how he got rid of the Romulans.
Yeah, that was smart.
Made the deal with them, gave them the resources from another planet, told them where the resources were on an uninhabited planet. So I'm kind of curious where this is going to go and what happened to the planet and why Seven of Nine and her crew are there. But I would like to have seen a younger.
There's one joke that every time I see it on the internet or wherever from the Big Bang Theory that makes me laugh every time. It's probably the only joke from the Big Bang Theory that makes me laugh every time. But Penny is quizzing the guys on pop culture. Because they know very specific things. And she asks Sheldon what Tweety Bird taught he taw. And Sheldon responds with Romulan. And every time he says that, I laugh because I think Tweety Bird versus the Romulans would be hysterical.
Yeah, it would, actually.
All right.
Well, do you not want to hear my thoughts on it, Kyle?
Oh, I thought we already had your thoughts on it, Jay.
No. I liked it. Now,
all right.
The parts that I like about it, though, is I've always loved the Kobayashi Maru training, the thing they do. I've always loved that for some reason. Don't know why. I will say this, though. What I don't like, even in comic form, I do not like seeing Sir Patrick Stewart with hair for some reason. It bothers me. And I think it's maybe because since I've been alive, he's always been bald or balding. So just seeing him with hair was kind of like, I was like, man, for a fact when he was younger, he had hair. I don't know why it bothers me, but it does.
You know what Patrick Stewart looks like with hair, right? Steve Martin.
Maybe that's why it bothers me.
You put them side by side, they look the same. This is the one I was talking about.
That's Liam. That's Liam from Spartacus, the original Spartacus.
Nope,
Star
that's young
Show.
Patrick Stewart.
That looks like Andy Whitfield.
I know, young Patrick Stewart. But I used to do that when Star Trek was on. I look at him and I put my thumb over the top of Steve Martin and be like, "Oh, look, Patrick Stewart, Steve Martin, Patrick Stewart, Steve Martin."
There's something Dan and I are going to have a conversation with after we're done talking about this that we need to talk about for the Dan Wickline show that just Patrick Stewart, Steve Martin, Patrick Stewart, Steve Martin just clicked in my brain that we need to talk about. All right. Are we moving on?
Yeah, go ahead.
But Dan, next week for real, Star Trek 400. If we get it.
If we get it, I got it. No problem.
Nice. So this is the Black Ghost, Shame the Devil. This is volume 2 or 3 of this book.
2.
Okay. It's had kind of a life. If you've ever heard of the Black Ghost, you may have heard of it at Dark Horse. You may have heard of it. There were a couple of other places it got published over its life, but this is the second volume. And it's Comixology now.
Which means Dark Horse after all anyway.
Right. In the end, it's right. And that's what I was kind of going to ask is, do you think that this is Dark Horse treating Comixology kind of like their version of DC with the old Vertigo stuff, or Marvel with Atlas? Kind of using Comixology as a place to put books that they think maybe need a little bit of time or that don't quite fit with their regularly publishing schedule.
Maybe. Atlas? Really?
When Bendis was first at Marvel, that was where they were letting him do a lot of his stuff.
You mean Epic? Oh, I know what you're talking about. I didn't think it was called Atlas.
I may be misremembering the name. It might have been something other than, it wasn't Epic. It was something else.
Yeah, but it was like a creator-owned label at Marvel.
Yes.
So wasn't Epic. is actually a good way to describe this book to me.
Jay with the sick burn.
I mean, look, it wasn't terrible. It's not the worst thing I've ever read, but it didn't grab me at all. Like, not at all. There was nothing about this character. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It just, I don't know. Like, the coolest thing in this book is there's a panel that's like a little homage to The Usual Suspects.
By the way, it was Icon.
Thank you.
So, I mean, granted, maybe this is because it's, series 2, and I know nothing about this, but I don't know. It was a comic story that I read. But that's all I got for it.
I thought the beginning was interesting. She's an alcoholic, which I thought was kind of a interesting take. And she's a legacy character taking over for another Black Ghost. But yeah, I'm with you. Just there wasn't much there. It wasn't much of a number one. It's like I don't think she ever fought anything.
She fought like a couple of dudes, but it was like maybe a panel.
Yeah. So it was a little slow. Kind of like us tonight.
Yeah.
I will pick it up. I'll pick it up and read it maybe this evening once I get the last of my stupid projects done. They're not stupid projects. I love my projects, but this project has been, Jay knows, 3 weeks of basically nonstop for me. So
yeah.
Once it's done, I'm going to sit down and read all of the comic books. All right. Next up, Power Rangers Unlimited, the Death Ranger. I didn't realize that there was a Cthulhu Ranger. At least that's what the cover looks like.
I was a little disappointed because I thought that he was the Death Ranger. Like there would have been some kind of ethos or mythos about, this is the Ranger that comes when you die, or he's the one that comes in when you're on the verge of death to, help you, or some kind of mythos. And it just didn't really come across that way. It was just another bunch of Rangers that I went, oh yeah, I guess he's gold. I can't get into the Power Rangers other than the Power Ranger Godzilla crossover. It just doesn't seem like we really get much character depth on these things.
Okay. I mean, I can agree with some of that. But for me, I've always been fascinated with Power Rangers lore. Because, the farthest I got was regular Power Rangers. Like, that was it. I didn't watch Zeo or the other 90 million interpretations or whatever. But I really enjoy the Unlimited series. I started with Frank Gogel's Edge of Darkness, which was really, really good. This is only like the third one I've read. So I don't know if they're all kind of like one-shots or if they connect in some kind of way. This kind of felt like the story that was being told was how did the Death Ranger came to be. Like this person, Spark, however you say it, they thought they were doing a good thing, but it ended up they were doing a terrible thing. And it had a terrible, terrible consequence. Now, I actually only skimmed this because for some reason I looked at the books last night and my brain was like, you already read this. And then when I sent the list to Kyle, I left it off and he was like, hey, you left this one off. I was like, that's because I didn't read it. So I actually read this one in between breaks. So I just skimmed it. I liked it. I want to know more about this particular Ranger though.
Jay sent me the list of what order to put the books in. So if the last one's a real stinker, it's on him. But real quick, guys, since we only have 3 books left and we're only at the half-hour mark,
yes,
I want to take a break from books and talk real quick about something that's happening here at the Experience. which is our mailing list that's covering up most of Dan at the moment.
That's fine. Hi. It's our mailing list. Hello.
Yes. If you are not currently, please sign up for our mailing list. You can scan the QR code to get there or head over to bit.ly/EXP mail to sign up. And here's the deal. We started it last Friday and it runs through September 30th. If you get signed up anytime between now and the end of September, and you can sign up as many times as you have emails. You do have to enter a separate email every time, but as many times as you have emails, you will be entered for a chance to win a graded comic that has been graciously donated by our friends over at Dynamic Forces. So we're giving away a slab for people to sign up for our mailing list. The thing about the mailing list, and like, this is what I want to talk about. It is the single most direct way to find out what's happening here at the experience. Like, sometimes we try and tell our host what's going on so they can tell you, but sometimes messages don't get through, or I thought I told Dan, and what I actually had done was told myself that I needed to tell Dan, and then my brain conflated the two, which Dan will tell you it happens a lot.
And sometimes Dan doesn't actually listen when he's told things. And yeah.
Well, you know, sometimes you have to write it in the private chat to Dan, and then you forget to write it in the private chat until Dan reminds you live on the air. Like, these are things that happen. So if you sign up for the mailing list, you get to find out exactly what's happening at the experience. So when we have big announcements like are coming in the next few days, you don't miss them. I work very hard on the mailer with Henri, who writes the mailer. So if there's misspellings or bad grammar, it's on him. I'm just the idea man. But it really is the best way to find out what's happening here on the experience. Like, including things like Nick is taking Friday night off. There's no art show on Friday, and there's no comic collectibles on Monday. So, like, these are things that you would find out in the mailer if you were signed up. When we send it out.
By the way?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
I think. I don't know. Henri has the details. They'll be in the mailer, I promise.
That's why we have the mailer. That's
right.
why we have it.
I'm going to have to sign up for the mailer.
Yeah, it's true. It's one of those things, though. Like, guys, it's one of the best ways that you can find out exactly what's happening, and there is no chance you're going to miss it.
bit.ly/EXP mail.
And there it goes.
Nope, I ended up on a thing with Chinese writing.
Did you go to bit.ly?
Yep, bit.ly. bit.ly/EXP mail.
I
Do I
have
do like the HTTP thing first?
Let's see what comes up on mine. Oh, that's weird. Maybe. Scan the QR code. It takes you to the right place.
Okay, scan the QR code.
As the show grinds to a halt.
I don't even know what scanning the QR code means.
If you open your camera on your phone and just hold it up and point it at that QR code, it'll pop up on your phone.
And for our viewers tonight, I went ahead and put the link in the chat. I have it saved.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah. Because the other link.
Underscore?
That's the one you sent me.
Uh-oh.
That's the one I've been sharing everywhere.
Hi, and welcome to the Experience a Professional comic book website.
Oh, the website's not professional. Let's see here. There is an underscore. That's good to know.
Yep.
I will change the graphic.
Oh, no. I have to tell you which one the stairs are. Stairs.
Good work, Jay, in having the right link.
I actually have it in the banners under EXP links, and I have it in some of the shows.
There's a
just
banner.
to make sure.
See, this is the thing. This is why you hire people like Jay, is he's got this stuff right. All right.
I'm on the mailing list now.
Yay. The link with the underscore does work. Thank you, Jeff. I don't know why I did that wrong. I will fix for going forward. But
We should just make this the commercial.
oh, you think I'm not going to clip this out on YouTube and use it as our commercial?
Thank you, Dan. Other Dan Price.
All right. Anyway, sign up for the mailing list. Thanks. Bye. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Oh, man.
We return now to your regularly scheduled program.
I'm going to go crawl into a hole. I'll be back.
And now we move on to Blood Oath, another comic from Comixology. This one started off very interesting. It felt like it was going to be about moonshining and during the Prohibition. And it was really interesting about this woman who has a farm with this big warehouse full of moonshine and stuff. And it's like, all right, we're going to do a Prohibition era story. This is great. And it turned into a vampire story. And I'm like, why? Why? Why?
Yeah.
I was kind of down for the Prohibition story and her having to fight off the rival gang, but the rival gang are vampires. Vampires don't drink alcohol. They drink blood. And there was no prohibition on blood.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, just one?
Is the rival gang the revenue man, the tax people? Because
No.
they're real life vampires. I mean, this could all just be an allegory about how the writer feels about taxes.
Kyle's opinions are not that of the station or his fellow guests or fellow hosts.
As someone who just got their tax bill for this year, I'm feeling like they're vampires right now.
Hey, but I'm not going to say it out loud.
Oh, I would. I mean, I already wrote the check. So it's like
They're hiring 82,000 more.
Buffy needs to fight the IRS. I'm just throwing it out there.
So this is basically a vampire story set in Prohibition and in a rural town, which I don't know. Like I said, as soon as the vampires showed up, I went, I was with you until then. Which is probably the big hook the guy said. All right, it's a Prohibition era fight between rival gangs, and for one of them are vampires. And that's probably how it sold. But
Go ahead, Jay.
Like in my notes, I was like, this one started out being about a bootlegging farmer, and then it's a vampire book. I will say there are like 6 pages though, with just like some really just brutal action. My only thing is, they could have done one of 2 ways. They could have just kept it the farmer that was bootlegging and had an actual rival gang, or if they were going to go the supernatural route, why can't we use anything other than vampires?
We should
what
use
about Cthulhu monsters?
No. Come on.
Okay, zombies.
No. Skinwalkers, freaking kelpies for all I care. I don't know. Just something. There's so many mythological creatures out there. We get stuck on the same 3.
Those 3 are probably the easiest to draw.
And to explain, because how do you get a mummy in the middle of a rural field?
It's true.
Because comics. I don't know.
And if you think about it, they're all zombies because most of them are back from the dead. Vampires are zombies. Frankenstein's a zombie.
No, Frankenstein's a doctor. Frankenstein's monster's a zombie.
Sorry, Jesus is a zombie. Anything that comes back from the dead.
Jesus is a Lich King. There's a difference.
Werewolves.
Werewolves.
Nope. They're wolves.
Okay.
They're castle.
Dan, we talked about Sandman earlier, and I'm not going to get back into it, but one of the ideas that in Calliope that he had, that he was spouting off, was different from the book, and I want this comic now, which is the Were-Goldfish.
Goldfish, yeah.
A goldfish that turns into a werewolf by full moon. Like, it was a unique idea that didn't exist in the comic, that existed in the show, that now I want.
What If the goldfish is just the gill man.
Billy Gilman?
No,
That
the
kid singer?
the creature from the Black Lagoon, the gill man.
I got what you were saying, Kyle. I got it. One voice.
Why are we just pulling that out now?
Because I keep forgetting we have it.
That should be a big button on your desk.
I also have this one.
Play that again and again and again and again, and then we do 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 do. Money.
All right. Well, I have a song on here called Money, ironically. Anyway, is there a trope in comics? We just kind of listed a whole bunch of them that can take a great book and turn it into a bad book in your mind. Like vampires, right? Like it goes from a book you're interested in to a book you're not very as interested in. Is there one that you can go, I'm in for this book, to never mind, I wish I'd never read it?
I was about to say something incredibly mean involving a particular writer, and now I can't think of his name.
So say the mean thing, and I'll see if I can figure out his name.
Well, the trope was hiring this writer.
Oh.
But he was on MTV. Crips or whatever, or MTV.
Dave Holmes?
No.
Scott Loader.
No. Pedro.
Pascal?
No, he's the one that took over for Jeff Loeb on Batman. Judd Winnick.
Oh.
Judd Winnick. That's it.
Yeah. Okay.
Judd Winnick came on like 3 books in a row, and I dropped all 3 of them. And they were like my favorite books going into, and then suddenly they switched. And I'm like, I'm out. So that was going to be my joke, the trope.
Is there one, though, for you, Jay? Like, is there one that is just an instant turnoff?
No, there's really not. Because as much as I complain about vampires and things like that, if the story's good, like take Rodney Barnes's Philadelphia. Okay? I love that book. The vampires in that don't bother me. But there's just some books where it's like we're using vampires as a crutch because the story's not that great.
That's fair.
Yeah, because this was something that was reading well. Mm-hmm. It's like if we were all reading Barnstorming, and the last page, the guy who turned out to be a vampire, Bix was a vampire. We'd be like,
yeah.
Right. So for me, the answer to that is having a creature be a monster that you don't immediately know is a monster. I don't mind reading a book about a monster. Like, I've read Something is Killing the Children, right? Like, but I know that that's a monster book from the outset.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my answer. Zenoscope is my the only good thing it covers. Ed's not wrong in that sense, but we've kind of beat that horse too.
Yeah. If you want a new good monster, you hire Stephen Moffat and you let him create it. Because he's the guy that came up with the Weeping Angels and the Silence, which are both creepy as hell.
And the Slitheen, which are the Slitheen, which are the gassiest monsters ever created. All right. Vampirella Year 1, number 2.
I forgot about this one.
Well, I'll talk about this one then.
I scammed it during scammed it.
Yeah, kind of feels like a scam.
I scanned it during the show, so pretty art.
Holy crap! This felt like it was 100 pages long. It felt like it just took forever. It took forever, and I think the first issue was better. This one felt like filler with uncomfortable dialogue and situations. There are some parts of this book I was like, probably didn't need that. probably didn't have to say that. I did like the vampire cow though, with the wings.
I like the vampire cow too. Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of boring. Maybe that's why it felt so long. Hopefully, the next issue will get this story back on track.
But there's a vampire cow.
I know. Do a whole book on that and mix it with the vamp, because I still think the vamp is the best thing from Vampirella I've read.
You're going to need to move on from the vamp, because that's what you go back to every time we read a Vampirella.
I know.
Well, until they make something better.
But it was a one shot.
I know.
Right, but until they make something better. Also, this book was longer than normal. It was 32 pages. So.
I had a quick chance to scan it. I did like the vampire cow. It did seem long. Just scanning it seemed to it's like, this is longer than a normal comic. So, but the art was good, and I will definitely read this one later on, because I do like Priest and what he's been doing with stuff. So,
all right,
another book for Kyle, the final book. He didn't even read it.
Shockingly, Vampirella should just make moonshine and keep the vampires out? Question mark, LOL.
Yes.
You know,
mix those two up.
Wait a minute. The lady with the moonshine farm could get a vampire cow.
Yes. This is why Dan needs to write everything.
Pitch it to Barucci. Moverella.
Look, some of the stuff they've come out with, I'm pretty sure Dan can write them something amazing.
Did you just say Moverella?
Yes.
All right, folks, we're going to end the show there. Enjoy the Lady Veronica. We're out of here.
So Betty and Veronica Jumbo Digest number 18.
Yeah, so naturally, I didn't read this whole thing. It was 186 pages.
They haven't given me a small one to...
Whew. But my notes, I'm like, the first thing I wrote was, this was obviously a cow book.
Yes.
I skimmed it, really, because I can only take so many puns. I mean, the first story was called Wouldn't It Be Nice?
And she has turned into Pinocchio.
Yeah, for like, it feels like 2 seconds. It kind of felt like that story didn't even, somebody just scribbled that down, and it was over as soon as it began. The next one is what I called modern with a backwards message. It's modern in the fact that they have cell phones and they're talking about, Uber Eats or some kind of food delivery app. But it basically tells women, why be independent when you can get boys to do it for you? I was like, oh, I mean, it's all tongue in cheek and everything, super campy. But I was like, man, Archie, you better watch out. Somebody's going to try to cancel y'all for that.
I think the overall story here is that why be independent when you get boys to do it? Have you met the boys of Riverdale?
That's true. That is true.
They're completely incapable.
I mean, some of those stories are like the Veronica is just trying to switch back and forth between which boy, like, was it Reggie and Archie is one of the stories.
Yeah.
I was like, guys, okay, this is why you get played. Y'all are dummies.
Well, they are the boys of Riverdale. So.
Plus, the story you're talking about was written by Tom DeFalco, who loved Tom, but he's not the most modern of people.
Right. Sometimes with these Archie digests, I have to remind myself that they're modern written. Mm-hmm. Because it feels like what they're doing is just taking old stories and redrawing. Right? Choosing to modernize certain lines.
Yeah.
So adding Uber Eats rather than talking about being unable to drive or whatever from an old story. They're not moving the punchline. They're just changing and modernizing existing text, and they're not. So when you read these Archie books, sometimes you got to remember that, hey, it's a series that really is stuck in the times in which it was created.
Yeah.
But Dan Parent and some of these guys try their hardest to give it a little bit of a modern flair for you.
All right, since we got a minute, you mentioned Icon and made me look up Marvel imprints. And I found a list of 10 Marvel imprints, and some of them I had forgotten about, but they're just kind of fun to revisit real quick. Anybody remember the New Universe?
Yes. Because that's why John Romita Jr. didn't get to draw the X-Men for as long as he would have liked.
Or, of course, they did their Star comic line, which included Spider-Ham.
And Barbie at one point.
Yep, and the Epic Comics, of course. They had that for a long time. Then there was Razor Line. You remember Razor Line? Yep, that's when Razor Line came out. I actually spent 2 different weekends being Clive Barker's bodyguard because of it. And, of course, they bought out the Ultraverse, which I don't know if that counts as their line because they bought it. And then
I don't know.
Do a whole lot with it. They had Paramount Comics for a while, which was basically when they had Star Trek. Amalgam Comics, which is the merger, when they did books between them and DC back in the days when everybody could talk. Yeah. And, of course, Marvel Knights, the Max line where they did everything as adult stuff, and, of course, Icon. So just thought those were kind of interesting to see pop up. But I had forgotten all about the Razor line, all the Clive Barker books.
And when you say it, I can see the logo.
Yeah.
Right in my head.
There was Ecto Kid. The books. There was Ecto Kid. There was Hyperkind, I think was another one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hyper something.
Yeah. Ecto Kid, Hyperkind, Hokum and Hex, and Saint Sinner.
Saint Sinner's the big one I remember.
Yeah, and they all came out in the summer, and Marvel did the Marvel Mega Tour, and they took Clive Barker to comic shops, and he came to the shop I went to, and the owner went, "Hey, Dan, can you just stand there and look big?" So I stood there. This is in my 20s. I'm standing there in a trench coat, standing behind Clive Barker through the whole thing. I got a picture of the two of us together. And then the guy from Marvel came up to me at the end of it. He goes, "We're doing another signing in Orange County next weekend. Can you come?" Like, okay. So that's how I spent 2 weekends with Clive Barker.
Well, there you go.
So for those of you watching, since you can't really tell from here, Dan is a mountain of a man at like 6'6". Okay. So good night. No wonder they asked you.
In my 20s, I used to do stuff like that. My mom worked at Kmart, and they used to have concerts in the parking lot, and then the band would come out and do signings, and I always got brought down to stand there with the band, and I'd be in my trench coat and stuff, and usually I got kids asking, "Are you the Undertaker?"
Ah,
I got that a lot.
Say your prayer.
Hey, was the Ultraverse part of was that Malibu Comics?
Yeah, Ultraverse was Malibu, and then when Marvel bought Malibu, Ultraverse came with it. So, and there's been some talk about it's New Universe they're talking about doing stuff with again.
Right, New Universe was the Jim Shooter creation.
Yeah.
A lot of people still give Jim Shooter a lot of trouble for.
There were a couple of really good books in there, and then there was a couple horrible.
Right, and if you look at it as Jim Shooter figuring out what Valiant would become when he founded Valiant,
pretty much, yeah.
It makes a lot more sense than having it be a part of the Marvel Universe. Since
Starbrand wasn't bad,
right?
Cyforce was pretty good. DP7 had some potential, but then he did stuff like Spitfire and the Troubleshooters, and Kickers Inc., which was basically a football team of heroes.
Right, and why you would call a hero on a football team a kicker, I have no idea.
I don't know either.
So, Nick Barucci, you need to get Dan to write the Vamp. Just gonna leave off on that.
Well, I was going to leave off on, since we have one more minute and we were talking about a football team. Yesterday was a very interesting day in sports that I thought I would share because it got sent to me during the show. August 29, 2001, Serena Williams won at the U.S. Open. Albert Pujols hit a home run. Vlad Guerrero Sr., Craig Biggio, and Dante Bichette all had a hit. August 29th, 2022, Serena Williams wins at the U.S. Open. Albert Pujols hits a home run. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Kevin Biggio, and Bo Bichette all recorded a hit.
Okay. I was going to say, wait, I misheard you in the beginning. I'm like, wait, Craig Biggio is still playing? But no.
No,
okay.
his son. Yeah. So, I guess this has been in stores this week.
It was fun time.
Has it really?
Stay tuned for other things coming tomorrow. Dan will be back tomorrow with the Dan Wickline Show. Dan, what are we talking about?
She-Hulk, episode 2, and get you ready for episode 3. We'll also talk about the casting of Megan Thee Stallion coming to She-Hulk. And the return of Trevor Slattery to the Wonder Man series.
And then tomorrow after Dan will be Comic Collectibles with Rex and John. And Wednesday Warriors with Joey and Ambrosia. And just for those of you who keep track, I must ask you a question. Is off at least for tomorrow, maybe for a couple of weeks.
Did he
figure
shave?
that out? No. Then Dan will be back on Thursday with. But before Dan is back on Thursday, we will have our big announcement. Unless I fall over on hit the ground real hard leaving the office tonight. We'll have our big announcement Thursday, like say maybe around noon. But Dan will be back on Thursday with the Dan Wickline Show. Dan, do you know what you're talking about Thursday?
Not yet. What's the big announcement? Maybe that'll be what I'm talking about.
No, it won't be.
Spoilers.
I don't know what I'm going to talk about yet, but I'll come up with something.
Awesome. And then Miss Jen will be back.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll talk about the new universe.
There you go. Miss Jen will be back with What's in the Box on Thursday evening, as will the Space Cadets. Henri will be off as he will be on his way to Dragon Con. And then Friday, we will have just in-store or just Friday Night Live with Nancy McCann on Friday. So stay tuned for all those things here on The Experience. We'll see everybody later this week. I saluted, but then I realized that I have to click the thing so that we can all stop saluting. I'm having a day. Get the inside scoop on everything happening at The Experience every week. Join our mailing list by scanning the QR